Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Well, today I'm excited. I get excited about watches, but I am getting more and more excited every time I get hands-on with a micro brand. And this time it's a new micro brand for me, but it's a micro brand that should have some sort of feeling about it that I recognize because it is sort of co-owned, or this micro brand is co-owned by the same guy that owns Zelos watches. And you can already see when I look at this watches, there is a little bit of a connection. But the good thing about that, a good thing to know that this is a connection to him, is that it should be a good quality watch because the Zelos watches are great. So I'm hoping this might be great as well. This is a Ventus Artic White Field 1, a slightly affordable micro brand, something a little bit interesting. It has a sort of a field watch aesthetic to it, but there's something about it that stands out to me. And it's most likely that dial because it looks absolutely fantastic. So in a first impressions style video, I'm going to check out this Ventus watch. But before we flip it around, well, have you subscribed to the channel? If you haven't, do you mind just clicking on that subscribe button? Really makes a big difference to me and this channel. Do appreciate it if you choose to do so, or if you've already done that. But let's flip the camera around. Let's check out this Field 1. So here we have a new micro brand for me, the Ventus Field 1 watch in Arctic White, but it is done by the same owner, or the person who's involved in this also does the Zelos watches, and we all know that they are fantastic watches and everybody has a lot of good things to say about it. So here we have another watch by that same sort of guy, and you can sort of see and feel the same sort of vibes about it. He's mentioned that this watch is made in the same factory as the Zelos watches, so I'm expecting that sort of quality, and wow, it is a lovely watch. But let's put that aside just for a second, because something that stands out to me, one of the things that stands out to me about this watch is not something too spectacular, but it's something a little bit interesting. This is our sort of warranty card. That is wood. This thing is made out of wood. Isn't that very cool? All filled out, which is nice. Yeah, a timber warranty card. Let's have a look on there. How long does it give us? 1 year limited warranty. That's a little bit of a disappointment. 2 years is nice, but that's okay. But this particular watch, there's about 2 things that have stood out to me immediately upon buying it. Well, that's not going back in there. Let's just close that up. But there's 2 things that have stood out to me. One thing which I was exactly expecting from this watch, because it was one of the reasons why I bought it, and that is the look of the dial. So let's check out the look of this dial, because that is the absolute first thing that stood out to me. And let me try and catch it on an angle so you can see the texture of that dial. If that's not showing up, let me stick in an outdoor shot now that will show that dial better, because it absolutely is gorgeous. Beautiful white color, has a slight silver tinge to it, but it's more white, but it has a beautiful texture, which I absolutely love. And what I wasn't expecting was how 3D those numbers are as well, which I really do appreciate. But the second thing that stood out to me is actually the bracelet. And it's partially good, partially bad. Firstly, very small links, which is very interesting. It's very different to other bracelets that I have ever experienced. But I kind of like that because it's going to sort of guarantee that it's going to conform around your wrist really nicely. But what it has done, it sounds a little bit jingly and jangly. It doesn't feel jingly and jangly. It's obviously solid links there, very solid end links, interesting end links. You can see there, it's a squared off link. The rest of that link there is actually part of the case, or at least that's what it looks like to me. When you look up and under, yeah, I think that's actually an interesting sort of format. It might actually end up meaning that this watch on a nice leather strap may look really cool, so I'm really interested to see what this one does look like on another strap. So they're the 2 things that really stood out to me. That dial, oh, absolutely incredible, exactly what I was hoping for, and a rather interesting bracelet. Slightly good, slightly bad. A little bit jangly, but actually feels quite nice on wrist. But looking at that dial again, wow, yeah, that is why I bought this watch. Love the look of it, love the look of those 3D numbers, love the look of that dial. Beautiful hands as well, I'm really appreciating that. Love how that minute hand there sticks all the way out to the outer chapter ring. The inner chapter ring wrought sort of ring there is on a nice little angle with the 60 all the way around. So yeah, giving that sort of field watch aesthetics. Like that there's a slightly semi-guarded crown, really easy to grab onto. Everything seems to be brushed, which is sort of what we're expecting out of this sort of field watch sort of aesthetics. It's got quite a big clasp. It seems like one of those sort of fairly standard clasps, but that's not a bad thing. I quite like it. It's got the little Ventus V on there. It's quite a cool little logo. heaps and heaps of micro adjust. Not that you particularly need heaps of micro adjust, because look at the size of those links, they're tiny, so you can really quite easily get an easy fit with this one. That sort of link there is pretty much almost the same size as a micro adjust, so we almost didn't need those micro adjusts. Another little feature of this one, you'll see the Ventus V on the back there. Apparently that is all loomed, so when I do the full review of this one, I'll stick some light on that and show that in the dark. We've got an NH35 in here, which does disappoint me slightly because this is a no date watch. Why would they not put the NH38? Why would they not put the no date variant in this watch? From my understanding, there's no real difference in price. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but that's a little bit disappointing. That does mean that this screw down crown has a little ghost position in it. Really, it doesn't bother me too much, but it is just an extra little nice feature when there is no ghost position. Overall, though, very, very nice. Love that bezel there, how it sort of curves out and around as well. That's quite nice. See the very slight double dome sapphire as well. Seems to be sort of one of my favorite sapphire crystals, I think. See how it just sort of floats over the top? Almost looks like a halo, I don't know. That sort of gets me a little bit excited. I obviously get a little bit too excited about watches, I am well aware. And on wrist, as you would expect with those sort of very small links, it conforms to my wrist really nicely. Now, if you are interested in this one, they are available on the Ventus website. I bought this one full price. I did not get any sort of discounts. This one cost me 445 Australian dollars, which I think for a watch that has this sort of unique look, lovely dial from a sort of well-respected owner of a micro brand, interesting strap, Seiko movement, that's about the right price. I'm certainly not complaining about that price at all, and I was happy to buy it when I saw it come out. And it certainly sits really nice on my 6 3/4 inch wrist as well. Very, very cool. Yes, I like it. And that dial, look at that. I just love that sapphire crystal. That's gorgeous. All right, guys, I'm going to have this one on wrist as usual for at least 4 to 6 weeks. This is something that's going to be a part of my everyday or every week rotation. It's certainly going to get some wrist time before I do that in-depth review. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I do hope to see you in the next video.